Ms. Nelson, I was enjoying your comments. My daughter-in-law is a retired flight attendant, and I've heard a lot of things before, and I could probably add to a few things that you said. You hear a lot of negative things about the industry, and it happens, maybe I'm biased because American has a huge presence, a huge footprint in my state of Oklahoma, my city of Tulsa, and in fact, I've worked with them over the years. When I was mayor of Tulsa, things would come up, and my experience actually has been good in terms of their focusing on using technology to swiftly inform consumers of any disruption to their travel, and they've actually invested billions of dollars in airport terminals and all of these things. So there are some things that are going on that have been good, in my experience. Ms. Pinkerton, when we talk about the wish to change things, are there any obstacles that airlines have in not being able to do some of the things that we might be thinking they could do unilaterally? Are there obstacles out there that make it more difficult to make changes?
Well, I would note that the Mercatus Center has said that the airline industry is the sixth most highly regulated industry in the country. Now, some of those things are safety regulations. I would say that even with some of the safety regulations, though, the way they're implemented in kind of a one-size-fits-all, whether that's the flight and duty rule or the 1,500-hour rule, et cetera, I think that there are some modifications that could be made so that there's not the operational impact that we see from some of those rules. But really the things that give us more pause, Senator, are the economic rules of the industry, the things like full fare advertising rule that tell us you can't advertise your product, you have to advertise it all in. We're one of the few industries that's required of. And then, of course, there's a push now to try to force us to do business with certain people, for example, like Cheapo Air. There's a move that says you have to give your fares and information to Cheapo Air, and we'd like to be able to make those decisions ourselves about who we do business with. So it's things like that where we'd like to see less government intervention. I think that a lot of this rulemaking are well-intentioned, but they end up tying our hands and costing consumers more. And we're all here talking about the consumer, and I think one of the things the consumer really values is the low fares that we've been able to bring with them, and of course, more service. And so, frankly, the more financially stable we are and the more freedom we have to do our business, we're going to be able to lower fares, we're going to be able to add seats, we're going to be able to pay our employees more, add more jobs, and those are things that we've been doing within the last 6 years.
Yeah, you've got to make those considerations. I've listened to a lot of really good ideas, I guess, expressed by people that, and maybe through a pilot's bill of rights or something. But I looked, Mr. Kirby, at what you've done, and I guess this question would be for you. The tragedy of that flight. I mean, that's awful, and to see the pictures and the public is out there, there's a level of outrage that is kind of unprecedented that I hadn't seen before. But what you've done in 30 days is pretty amazing. You've already settled a lawsuit. You've increased the incentive for passengers to give up their seats and a lot of other things. Look, I've been around here a long time. Maybe we have solutions here in government, but I don't recall any time that we've been able to work as fast as you guys have in correcting a problem. So I want to keep that in mind, and I don't know of a lot of things that can be done. I am concerned, and I won't ask you this. I won't ask you because I think it might be unfair. So I'll go back to Ms. Pinkerton. Do you think that a lot of new federal laws and regulations imposed as a response to this incident could cause more issues than it would resolve?
Oh, I absolutely do. A one-size-fits-all rulemaking approach doesn't work for this industry. We've seen that time and time again with unintended consequences. The tarmac delay rule ended up causing more cancellations, so people were more inconvenienced by it. I think what we've seen today is that airlines recognize that we need to step up on customer service, and we're willing to do that voluntarily.
Well, it's to your benefit. I mean, this
Absolutely.
idea that you have to be forced to do these things. You're the guy that pays for all this stuff, and I think everyone would agree to that. When I was chairman for a number of years of a committee called the Environment and Public Works, where all the over-regulations came, and most of them were EPA regulations. So what we tried to do was to say any regulation that comes along, you got to put a price tag on it. It's going to cost something. And I would admonish my friends, if they're involved in the various proposed legislation, to maybe do the same thing. You can make these changes, but it's going to cost. You said just a minute ago, the cost of the ticket, that's a huge thing. And everything that I've heard suggested is going to impact that. So I think it might be a good idea for anyone who comes up with these good ideas to give credible evidence as to how that's going to affect the most important aspect, in my opinion, of individuals. That is the cost of their ticket. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. We're going to work right on through these questions. If anybody needs to take a break on the panel, as long as you take those breaks one at a time, we could probably get to you by the time you get back. Senator Markey.
Thank you, Mr.
But
Chairman.
my experience would be this would be a good time for everybody to take a break.
I hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, but for all the other passengers, strap in your seat.